Josh, I'm going to say good afternoon. Actually, no, you're in New Zealand, right?
It's a very good morning. It's a quarter to eight in New Zealand. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Hello.
how's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again?
It's great. You're my second, so it won't be over and over. Who knows? What shirt do
Okay,
you have? That looks awesome. Is that a Meteor Man shirt? Oh, Macho Man.
no. Meteor Man with Robert Townsend. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Here my brain goes. I love me some Meteor Man.
That was a super underrated one. That man, he's having the career resurgence with the Bear.
Oh my
Uh,
God, he's so good. Him and Io, just watching him and Io, and he looks great. He looks the same. I'm just like, uh, bless you,
for
Robert
sure,
Townsend.
but Randy Savage, what can you do? But this is not
Also, Randy Savage. Yeah.
This is not about my decor, my style. This is about you and Die Hart 3, Heart to Kill. And as somebody who's seen your movies and your projects before, this is
Mhm.
very different than the other things. Like, for example, Werewolves Within, it's funny, but it's also more horror-ish. How did
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
wind up getting on the comedy radar to work on this great project?
Well, it's kind of crazy. I came up doing comedy. I love that I'm known.
I,
Well, I'm
I
known by
know about college humor, but I'm just
yeah.
feeding you a softball.
Well, the genre community, it's funny that the genre community doesn't quite know that I do stuff still with my homies at Dropout,
Yeah.
formerly College Humor. And a lot of Dropout community doesn't is gradually finding out about my films. But I've always been a horror fan. I've always been a fan of thrillers. It's really funny to think about when this came to me. I was like, my buddy Luke Kelly Klein, who I met in my college humor days, brought me the project and said, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Oh man, it's really intriguing to get back to comedy, but I would have to kind of make it my own and do my thing." And him and Tripper Clancy, the creator, really wanted it to be different. So I
Hmm.
took an opportunity to shoot a noir, essentially, shoot like something that felt like we listened to a lot of Jerry Goldsmith's Basic Instinct music on the set, like putting Kevin in an erotic thriller basically just kept making me
Yeah.
giggle. But also as an opportunity to like make something that felt kind of Knives Out-ish with a new DP. This was essentially an opportunity, a whole stealthy operation to work with Maria Rucci, who I chased down to shoot this. She did Bottoms and Shiva Baby. I'm
Hmm.
just a massive fan of hers. So and also to make something in the States. There's a lot of production happening outside of the country right now, and an opportunity to work with people, in our unions stateside was really important to us. And it was kind of a no-brainer. We were one of the lucky few to be granted an agreement during the strike. So it was like, oh my gosh, we get to work together, we get to commiserate, I get to hire some friends. It was massive.
You've done a lot of filming in Hudson Valley. Where was this filmed?
This was filmed all in Atlanta. Yeah, I like lived in Inman Park, like at the turn of the season. My favorite
Hmm.
season, Halloween. It was a delight.
Wow. Okay. Are there
Yeah,
plans to get back to Hudson Valley for filming? That's one of your trademarks at this point.
man, someday, yeah, I would love to treat upstate New York like Shyamalan treats Bucks County or something. But I don't know. I think my dream would be to bring up like a mini series, like to be up there and live up there and hire like all my local crew who came out and did Scare Me and Werewolves essentially for, low rates and favors, to
Right.
just like blow out some show. That would be the dream. Or do like what Mark just did with Creep Tapes, just bring a Creep Tapes up there would be the dream, the way he's doing it up in like Crestline and Northern California.
There also seems to be a lot of stuff in Utica. I think the company's American High that
Yeah.
does all of its rom-coms in that high school.
That's right. I was in Natalie Morales's movie Plan B. We shot up there. She was like, "Do you know somebody who lives up in the Hudson Valley who can play your scumbag gas station like harasser partner?" And I was like, "Yeah, Bobby Tisdale. He's a comedian. He lives up here. He does Bob's Burgers and hangs out in the woods." Well, so we both went up there and did that too. I love American High.
But the bonkers thing about Plan B, if I remember correctly from the junket, is weren't they saying there was Idaho or Utah? They weren't saying it was upstate New York?
I think that's about right. It does not feel like New York. It feels like Middle America for sure. For
So
sure.
we've already covered that you're in Australia. I'm sorry, that's a Cardinal sin. New Zealand
Yeah. Oh,
for Die
hello.
Hart 3. That was Atlanta, filmed in the Hudson Valley. You're pretty much a man of the world these days, Josh.
Oh, completely. Atlanta, Hudson Valley, New Zealand. That's it. That's all there is. There's nothing else. You know what I
But
mean?
not a lot of filming in California these days, correct?
The one thing I did in California was essentially for my new operation with AMC as their ambassador of horror. I like making spooky branded stuff for them when they've got work for me. But it's been a real tricky situation with production just in the country altogether. I mean, I would love to shoot in California. There's isn't much outside of Wheel of Fortune. I think it feels like in our kind of course correcting post-strike world, and it's really nasty, really nasty. I want to try and keep stuff stateside as much as I can, which again is why I love doing Die Hart, in Atlanta with the people of Atlanta, with the local crew, with local actors. There were some incredible cast members
Hmm.
um, who were folks I hadn't heard of. Who lived down there full time and pop in for a Marvel show, then came in and did this. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're one of the best improvisers I've ever known. Yeah, any opportunity to hire buddies and keep it local and not have to travel away, out of the country for 4 months would be great. But gotta pay the mortgage.
You actually led into something I was curious about because the jokes are very well done in Die Hard
Mhm.
3. You could tell that there's a lot of punch up and all that, but I couldn't tell. Is there a lot of improv?
We always make sure we get it in the can. Tripper Clancy writes a really funny script.
Hmm.
And these actors inevitably, if you get Tony Cavallero and Anna Garcia and Kevin, and certainly Catherine Hahn, you're going to get improv, you're going to get gold. They're always going to take it and elevate it, and you never want to prevent that or shield that. So just, part of my job is allowing for that, setting the space for people to like do their thing. But I'd say like just shy of half the time, people will improv and we'll just like, because that's what I asked for. I said, just play with it, just make it your own, and we'll just see what's there. But there's so much on the page that's great. You have to get a certain amount of information because it's a murder mystery ultimately, silly as it is.
That's got to be very different from your other projects because I watching Werewolves Within, which I know is based on a video game initially, I don't see that there was a lot of improv, even though Milena is clearly an improv person and Sam is very funny, etc.
Harvey Guillen was probably the premier fun. Well, him and George Basil probably improvised the most on Werewolves, and it was just a delight. I mean, that was a
Wow.
murderer's row of improv people and like theater people and film people was the best.
Wow. So at this point in your career, we don't know what's going to come next from you. By that, I mean sometimes it's horror comedy. Originally, as we talked about, College Humor was pure, straight up comedy, and it was a launching pad for a lot of people, whether or not they kind of realized that. Ellie Kemper had some early stuff. Did you work on that one by any chance?
I never worked with Ellie Kemper, but I knew back in the day, there were a few sketch comedy groups, one of which I was in the era when we were all just throwing shit at the wall. You know what I mean? And that was how College Humor essentially found our little group and was like, "Do you guys want to come make videos about boobs and beer and video games?" And that was the beginning of my 7 year quote unquote desk job as like a director. But
Ascent.
dude, that's how I cut my teeth. That was my film school. I went to acting school at 18 years old, did background work and, worked at Best Buy and then like, started working for College Humor after just doing sketches with my friends and it worked out pretty good.
Great origin story. Well, three quick questions and then I let you go. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
First one, Die Hard 3. It's a new movie to us, not a new movie to you. Are we allowed to know what's coming next? Is it that Shutter thing?
Well, the Creep Tapes is the last Shutter project I did. That's out now, all 6 episodes. That was an awesome collaboration with Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce, who were lovely geniuses. But my next film is a Sony film, a studio film, my first one called Hard Eyes, and that comes out February 7th. Yeah, just in time for Valentine's Day. It's a Valentine's Day rom-com slasher.
Wow. Okay. Next question. Comedy people usually do the exact opposite of comedy when they're not working. What is the main hobby or passion when you're not doing the directing and or comedy thing?
Probably putting on Howard Shore and running through the woods, or at least that's what I've been doing in New Zealand.
Howard Shore, the character actor That was
The composer of Lord of the Rings, because I'm in the home of Lord of the Rings, so I'll just listen to Enya and run through Mount Victoria.
there you go. And the last question, will there ever be an on the record collaboration that we know about with your half sister Rachel?
Oh yeah, Rachel not only has a track in Heart to Kill, but she also has a track from her brand new album. I'm not sure if the yet to be released album in Hard Eyes, dropping February 7th. So yeah,
But
and
but I mean
I
something that you two we actually see you because I know you did a music video of hers.
Oh yeah, years and years ago. I'm wearing a Yamagata hat right now. I have uh a secret desire and drive to get her in front of the camera because I love when musicians act in independent film, and I think she's a fantastic actor. She did theater. She's
Hmm.
probably the reason why I was stoked to do theater as a kid, and partially why I got into acting. She not only introduced me to horror films, but I would go see her in like, Bye Bye Birdie or whatever at her school when we were growing up. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? There's hundreds of people here watching my sister in a spotlight. I think I want to be part of this. But yeah, I would love to get her, I don't know, acting opposite some other rock stars.
She's come a long way from Bumpus.
Oh my God, that's a pull. That used to be my screen name, Bumpus15 at AOL.com.
Well, Josh, you have been a delight. Looking forward to all your future projects and thank you for your time. Congrats on Die Hard 3.
Thanks so much, Darren. I appreciate the time.
Paltrocast.